that will be talking to us. And I'm sure you got their names earlier on. Their names were sent to you and for record purposes. Sorry, I'm trying to swap system. Okay. Please, if you can hear me, just type yes. Okay, excellent. You can hear me. Okay. Tonight we'll be talking to an important personality or important personalities. There are three. Their names were sent to you. You just give me a minute. Let me sort out that list. I'm having a serious issues with network on my system. Yeah, he's a member of CIPM and head of human resource, Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company. He will be talking about labor and employee relations. The second person we'll be talking about is that we'll be looking at or listening to is Emmanuel Gumbi. He's a well-known figure here. He's also a member of CIPM and was recently appointed the branch chairman of CIPM Kaduna State Chapter. So we're talking about recruitment, training, and development. We also have Daniel Uyime of Bank of Industry Limited. He would handle compensation and benefits. May I remind all the speakers, please, if you are not on this program, we request that you mute your mic. Okay. So we'll be calling on the guest speakers to quickly introduce themselves in just 2-3 minutes. I want to believe they are here.
Sir?
Okay, can you hear me?
It's my own.
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Okay. So we'll be calling on the guest speakers to introduce themselves and let's get to meet them before we go into the program proper. We'll try and make this program as brief as possible. The first person we'll be calling is Mr. Adeola Adepegba. If he's here, please, I want him to indicate so that we can mute him and let him introduce himself.
Okay.
Some persons say they can't hear me. If you can hear me, just type yes, please.
I can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
So it's Mr. Adeola Adepegba here.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, please, we would like to know about you. Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Adeola Adepegba. I work with Kaduna Electric, and I'm so glad to be here. I head the HR department. I'm glad to be here this evening to share knowledge with professional colleagues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that brief info. The next person we'll call on is Mr. Emmanuel Ogumbi.
Oh.
Mr. Emmanuel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Asade. Doctor,
Okay,
how are
please,
you doing?
please
Good evening.
introduce yourself, please.
All right. Can you hear me? Can you confirm if you are hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emmanuel, a friend of the house, and I'm a professional human resource practitioner. I live in Kaduna and currently the branch chairman, the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, Kaduna State. Good evening. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for that brief intro, Mr. Emmanuel. Next, we'll be looking at talking to Daniel Uyime. That's a brief introduction. Yeah. Mr. Daniel Uyime, are you there? Okay, while we are waiting for Mr. Daniel Uyime, we will commence straight with Mrs. Adeola Adepegba. I'm very sorry, initially I used he instead of she, but I believe the apologies are accepted. Okay, over to you, Mrs. Adeola Adepegba. Usually during our programs, we must have done a lot on WhatsApp about our classes and subject areas have been treated. So Zoom is just a moment for us to add a face to the class and get people to meet experts on the field, talking about their background and the subject matter. Here, the subject matter is labor and employees relations. Now, we know you need like a week to talk about this, but here you have just about 20 minutes at most to talk about this. Then the next 10 minutes will be for people to ask questions. And we will be appreciating you squeezing everything within 20 minutes. It's going to be difficult, a very difficult task, but I think you can do it. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you. Over to you, Adeola Adepegba. Are you there, madam? Is Mrs. Adeola there?
I think the internet kicked her off because I can't find her on the.
So let's move on to the next speaker while we wait for her. And we also hope that Mr. Daniel Uyime will be coming on board to take his own session. We'll be moving over to Mr. Emmanuel Ogumbi while waiting for Mrs. Adeola. Mr. Emmanuel Ogumbi, you'll be talking about recruitment, training, and development. You have just 20 minutes to do justice to this topic. Over to you, sir.
All right. Once again, good evening, everyone. Like Ale said, my name is Ogumbi Emmanuel. I provide leadership for Annual Consulting, a chartered HR firm headquartered in Kaduna. Tonight, I will briefly be talking about recruitment, training, and development. I will like to, because of time, create a little link for all of these. Number one is that having looked at the content of some of the few things we've been doing in the last few days on this program, on this course, I understand a lot have been covered on recruitment, training, and development, and several other topics. However, I would like to mention very quickly that recruitment, as familiar as that name can sound to anybody and most people on this platform, is one of the strategic key role of an HR practitioner, of an HR specialist. Is one of the key program of every organization. And why is it key? The moment the recruitment process is violated, the moment the recruitment process is not followed, then there is bound to be recruitment error. And when there's recruitment error, there will be engagement error. And when there's engagement error, there will be productivity error. And that is why it's a very strategic part of the exercise of bringing people into an organization. And as we all know, and as we have learned on our platform, on the Zoom, on the WhatsApp program, you will realize that recruitment comes with stages. It comes in stages. It comes at the point of one organization's identifying their need, human capital need. That is the first thing. You don't go into the market to look for people while you are still thinking of the kind of people and the category of people you will need. And so to get your recruitment right, it starts from identifying your need. What category of people do you need? What category of professional experience do you need? The moment you succeeded in getting the right people, identifying the right need, then you will have a fair idea of where to get the kind of people you have identified and the category of people you identify. Let me quickly draw your attention to some of us who might have experienced situation where you see some multinationals like Dangote, Shell, Total Energies, and all of them going into institutions to recruit. They write to institutions asking them to supply graduate of particular grade and all of that. That is an identification of the kind of category of people they needed at that particular point in time for a particular assignment within the organization. And so it's also like that for organizations who need experienced people in certain fields. They will look out for similar industries and organizations that already have these guys who probably need some steps ahead in their career and wanted better condition, better offer, and all of that. So depending on what you have identified as your need, that also determines where you go get your need. Human capital need. And that is very important to recruitment. And in recruitment, there are different stages. And what is important is that you go through a pipeline wherein you get the right people. And as is commonly said, to get your recruitment right, you must have at the back of your mind getting a round peg for a round hole that you have created in your organization. And this is very fundamental. And that is why you see a lot of organizations, quite a number of times, they get people into the organization, and within a short time, you see people coming out of the organization, which we'll call labor turnover. And to avoid labor turnover, you must get your recruitment right. Very important. That is a very strategic aspect of every organization activity that you must get it right. As a matter of fact, if your recruitment process is wrong, your productivity will be wrong. You will not get to achieve the goal of the organization. And so that is very fundamental. I want to bother us with giving us academic or theoretical issues around recruitment. But one thing that is fundamental is that there is always a place to get a particular type of people that have to do a particular type of work. And this is very important. And there are different means of getting these people, which include advertisement. That's why you see vacancies on newspapers, you see vacancies announced on television, you see vacancies announced online. These are different channels by which you advertise your vacancies. But before organizations advertise vacancies, they must have identified the kind of people they need and the condition at which they would need to engage them. And so this is very fundamental in recruitment. And just like I said, it's a gateway to people coming into organization. And of course, it's a gateway to determining performance of an organization, because once the right people comes in, it is most likely that the productivity level of the organization will be sustained. But the moment the wrong people got into the organization, there's every tendency that there is a multiplier effect on the productivity level and general performance of the organization. I must also say very quickly that there are rules guiding recruitment processes. One of the rules is that you must bear in mind that the law of the land frown at discrimination in recruitment processes. For example, you don't, even though it does happen, there are things you don't do just because for example, you can't get into any newspaper and see recruitment and you see conditions like if you are a male or if you are a female, or or you could even see that there are some specific assignments that are meant for male or female, which is understandable, but nobody should be rejected on account of tribe, on account of color, on account of language, on account of sometimes gender. So these are very important, and there are rules in the labor market guiding all of these things. And because of time, I would also quickly like to mention that when you get people into your organization, it is very important that you also train them. And that takes us to training and development. That takes us to training and development in such a way that you must understand, for you to be able to design a training program within an organization, you must first of all identify what are your needs, still boil down to your need. What are the things you need people to carry out in your organization? What are the assignments you have for them? What are are there technicalities? Are there area of expertise that you need your workforce to know and understand about your business? And so you tailor your training program into all of these aspects of need that has been identified. There is what we call training need assessment in training and learning and development. Training need assessment is a process by which an organization carry out an evaluation, a thorough audit of gap identified within the workforce, either in newly recruited employee or existing employee, to be able to design an appropriate training program for such category of people. And this will enhance productivity. And it is more important that, and even though we thank God that is changing gradually, a lot of organizations before now have some ideas on not investing on training and developing their workforce. I must tell you, employee, if they are not trained, you cannot. And it is very important that budget and investment, appropriate investment, is appropriated to train your workforce and ensure that from time to time there are developmental programs for your workforce within the system. And this is very key and very strategic to productivity level of the organization. I will tell you, show me an organization that goes through the right channel, the right talent pipeline to get the right workforce, and show me an organization that invests in training and development of their workforce, and I will show you an organization that will achieve its goals. Without training, without the right recruitment, getting the right people from the right source at the right time, you cannot. And of course, deploy the right training. You must deploy the right training appropriately and ensure that they grow over time. There are metrics to measure performance. There are metrics to track your training activities with the developmental programs within the business. And once these metrics are deployed, you can see, even from your productivity, the return on your investment. And this will help the organization to compete favorably in the market. And so you cannot, in essence, separate your productivity, the overall corporate performance, and overall achievement of goals, your corporate goals, from the right recruitment processes, the right training employment and development. All of these are very critical to organizational performance. And I think we must have this at the back of our mind. And as I begin to wind down on this, I must also say that HR practice is such that there are numerous value chains, and of which, and I know sometimes in the past I've mentioned it on this platform, that you can choose to stay as a specialist in recruitment. You can choose to stay as a specialist in recruitment, and you can be known and have a niche for yourself. And how do you have a niche for yourself? Let it be known as a brand that you are an expert in getting the right people, from the right source, deploy to appropriate organization. And once you are known with this in the market, or as a consultant, as a specialist, you enjoy your patronage, and you can stay as a specialist in recruitment. And time will not permit us to talk about different channels. Recently, in Kaduna State, Jobberman was in Kaduna, and they did a statewide program to create a pipeline for organizations who may need some workforce and having challenges in getting them. So they created a marketplace in conjunction with the state government. And their target was to recruit 1,500 graduates for deployment to different organizations. And so they invited organizations to meet, to create a meeting point for applicants and organizations that are in need of workforce in different categories. And these are different ways by which you can source for your workforce. And time will not permit us, but I think we must have at the back of our mind that there are diverse ways of getting the right people to perform different functions within an organization. But one thing that is fundamental is that you must get it right at that point of recruitment, because the error of most organizations are traceable to the point of recruitment, and we call it recruitment error. And once you commit recruitment error, it is bound to have a multiplier effect on the productivity level of the organization. And that's why it's a gateway. It's a gateway to performance drive within an organization. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, you cannot separate training your workforce, developing them, ensuring that on the job they are developed, psychologically they are developed, and emotionally they are developed in such a way that they are able to cope with your work environment and the overall work system in such a way that it translates to productivity in the organization. And all of these have a handshake that cannot be separated. Right recruitment process, right training, need identification and deployment, and development, continuous development of the workforce, and then, of course, you get the result from your productivity. I think let me stop here, just in case there are questions and what have you to attend to very quickly. Thank you, Dr. Zazi.
Okay, thank you so much. You've done excellently well. I always expect this much from you. I know it's because of time constraint, you would have done more than this. Yes, okay. We'll just take 5 questions. Yes, just 5 questions. And after that, we'll move on to the next speaker. So, Madam Admin or moderator, please, you will nominate those 5 persons and call them out to ask their question. Please, when you ask your question, it should just be very, very brief. Your question should just be like 30 seconds so that it can also spare time. We're not going to spend more than 10 minutes on this question and answer session. Okay, over to you, Admin.
It was great.
Okay.
No.
So maybe we should start with Esther.
No, it's not more coming.
Esther,
I'm
please
unmuting
unmute
them.
yourself.
So if you see yourself unmuted, you can ask your question, please.
Yeah.
Or you can ask your question. No, it's from them.
Esther,
They
over
went.
to you.
They are trying
Hello,
to.
hello.
They want somebody to
Esther, please
start.
unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, I think Esther is not ready.
Please, I have a question.
Hello, hello.
Hello? Hello?
Is that Esther?
No, this is Alaji Papa.
Please, let's
Sorry,
move
if
on to
Esther is not available, let somebody
Yeah,
else
can
ask
I ask my
question.
question?
If you need to ask a question, can you please raise up your hand? And if you are muted, just go ahead and ask your question.
There is no way I can raise my hand because it's not showing from my end.
It has to be your setting. Mr. Emmanuel Oxy, can you ask your question? You can unmute yourself.
Please, if you cannot ask this question, please, can I ask mine? It's a very quick one. Why is age discrimination not being involved in that law of the nation?
Miss Juliet, please, you are supposed to raise up your hand. You can ask
I
a
didn't see any
question, but
signal.
you can just
There
raise
is
up
no
your hand.
signal from my end. I
Okay,
can't raise
my
my
hand is
hand, and I've already dropped it on the chat box, but it was not.
Okay.
There was no response.
All right. We'll come back to you, Mr. Juliet. Please, Mr. Emmanuel, you are on now.
Okay. My question is that how do you evaluate the training in terms of recruitment when you involve a third party to recruit your employees for you? Please.
All right. Admin, should I attend to that?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. If I get Mr. Emmanuel right, he's trying to find out if a consultant is handling your recruitment process, how do you now identify the training need? Number one, it is expected that when you recruit staff newly, they pass through orientation and proper training before you deploy them. However, training needs are evaluated via performance results or performance evaluation. Once you have carried out your performance appraiser and several other means of identifying training need, there are quite a number of how you can identify need within the establishment, within your organization. And these processes, when you go through them, it will give you areas where your employee or your workforce need to be trained or developed. There are quite a number of them, and time will not permit us to do, but these are things that can be done and synergized by way of communication with your consultant. For example, as an HR practitioner or consultant who carry out training, most cases you are engaged with the organization. Sometimes you come practically or physically to the organization environment. You carry out some on-the-spot assessment, and you could see the performance live, and you could help organizations also identify. Then you can also identify your training via your performance, your expectation, the goal set by the organization. Once you are not achieving your goal, you must identify why are you not achieving your goal. There are questions that you need to ask yourself as owner or business managers. Why are you not achieving XYZ result as expected? And the moment you are able to answer some of those questions, it is most likely that training are necessary in certain area of your activity in order to enhance their performance. Probably some lack proper orientation of the job, some don't even understand what is expected of them. There are a lot of employees, not because they are not competent, but sometimes they are confused of what is expected of them. And that is why communication and orientation is very key. And of course, training, it will help organizations or employees perform relatively well once they are properly trained. And of course, this can always be synergized with the consultant and the business owner. There are platforms to come into conversation on all of these, and you get result once it is properly done. Once it is properly done. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. I hope I've answered that question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you,
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, we'll wait for the admin to call the next person.
Miss Juliet, I think you can go ahead now. You have your hand raised. Please quickly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone, once again. Okay, thank you, sir, for your lectures. My question is, when you made mention of the law of recruitment, which involves discriminations, you never mentioned the discrimination about age, because I've had such experience severally about age, but it's only when I tell them my age that I always have this impression, oh, you don't look, you look younger than your age, but sorry, we cannot employ you because it's your age, and you should go and readjust your age to reduce your age. And I told them I cannot do that if I'll be employable. So why is that law in Nigeria, mainly, not outside the country, but here in Nigeria, not including the age? Because that discrimination is really affecting the employees. Why are they not including that? Then second question is, how can I use an in-house to replace a position? Probably I want to have a higher position in my company. I want to hire someone in my company. So how can I train somebody within the organization to fit in, instead of having an external employee to fit in there? How can I train that my staff within the organization to fit into a position instead of sourcing for outside?
I think I get that very clearly. Number one, let me answer the question why age discrimination cannot be. Are you done?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I am.
Age discrimination is not a violation. As a matter of fact, you cannot impose age on organization. I mean, you cannot compel organizations to recruit or employ people who are quite outgrown or that are older than the age specifically mentioned or required for a particular position. And the reason is obvious. It is expected that the energy a younger person will put into a business will be different from somebody who is already approaching retirement age, or not necessarily approaching retirement age. It is expected that one thing that you must understand, every organization wants maximum value, optimum productivity. And there are a number of factors that are considered before employees are recruited in organization. Number one, there are cases and instances of experience. The right experience must and sometimes the kind of employee that you wanted must be within an experience bracket or age bracket in order to match your identified need within your organization. And in Nigeria, the law does not protect anything against discrimination on age. As an MD of a company, you cannot impose on me to recruit a 35-year-old person for a job of a 25-year-old graduate. Or it could be a skilled labor, it could be an unskilled labor, it could be any category of service. And every organization reserves the right to determine the category of people they want to employ part-time. The law of discrimination covers certain areas about, for example, you cannot say because a particular person comes from a particular tribe or a particular region, and say you can't recruit people from that region. You may give preference, you may be silent about it, and in your recruitment process, you don't need to announce it. For example, if you need people to operate within the north, you may likely want to prefer people from the north for reason of language barrier and all of that. But you don't put this on the face of the papers. You don't put those things on the face of paper, but you are allowed to determine age bracket for your recruitment, for your employment. And I think as it is today, I doubt if the law can change that, because it will be difficult to tell me to employ people, somebody who is 50 years old, and I need, I have an office for somebody who is just coming out of university. And you must be able to reconcile that, to know that they are not comparable. That is that about the law of recruitment processes. On recruitment, we, as HR practitioners, we also encourage organizations to carry out what we call succession planning. One of the strategic ways to enhance internal recruitment, upgrading your existing workforce from one level to another, is to deliberately and intentionally introduce succession planning. When you introduce that, it is most likely that, number one, your existing employee perceive within your system that there is a growth path, there is a career path, meaning that somebody can grow from a particular office to another office, and that will encourage productivity and commitment and several advantages to the. You achieve that not in one day, but a gradual process through succession planning, through mentorship, through capacity building. And this must be done not by accident, but intentionally. And by that, you will be saving money. The company will be saving energy that you have depends on recruiting people from outside. From within, somebody who is knowledgeable about the business environment, somebody that already understands the corporate culture, somebody that already understands the tradition of the business. You have created a signal for people behind to have an understanding that there is a growth path in our business, or there is a career path in the that have a multiplier effect on the overall performance of the organization. And we encourage organizations to practice that. Develop, train, intentionally carry out succession planning, whereby you expose junior cadre or subordinate to the senior people within the business. And by that, you successfully transit from one category within an organization. I think that answered that question.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Please, I
Emmanuel.
have a question, please, but I can't see where to raise my hand up.
Okay, just hold on for the admin. She's going to call who we asking. Please, we have to make this quickly brief.
Yes, we have.
Brief so that we can move on to the next. Is the admin?
Okay, Michael Ekam. Please, can you unmute yourself, Michael Ekam?
Okay.
Please, can we make it short? I mean, short so that we can maximize our time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel, for a very apt presentation. I just want to find out, just to clarify, you spoke to us on the topic recruitment, training, and development. Okay, can you just, maybe in a very short way, differentiate to me the core differences between training and development?
Sorry. If I get you right, sir, Mr. Michael, difference between training and development?
Yes. Because
Okay.
they look almost the same.
Yeah. Training and development, they are used interwoven. It is expected. Sometimes can be within and outside. Kind of training you want to do. On the job training, we have different type of training, but development are that the organization carry out to ensure that there is progressive from a particular performance level to another within an organization or an individual within an organization, to ensure that an organization, of course, and I need to simply say this, that nobody can develop without training. Exercise that must be carried out. But development room or a workshop or it could be exposure to performance. For example, if you have a workforce who have never had opportunity to attend a particular category or status meeting, for that employee to begin to advance in the area of his or specialized workforce to probably such statutory meetings. Then by that, he attends such meeting, he observes how to carry out activities at that level. It means it's more of an exposure of workforce into a higher responsibility in such a way that such to ensure that he's fit to the next step. Meanwhile, training is for everybody. And of course, it is expected that training translates to development. Development are the day-to-day see in the daily performance of every workforce. You must be able to see after training, after investing in training, that your workforce are developing. And how do you know they are development? Number two is that they are able to do things that ordinarily they cannot do hitherto before the training exercise are carried out. Therefore, migration is a migration from a particular level of performance to another through exposure, through mentorship, responsibility engagement. And these are some of the things that separate the two. But in most cases, there are activities that are carried out with the aim at performance. That is one common thing about training and development. But the mode of carrying the two out, I did some organize workshop, seminars, just like what we are doing now, to inform people. But the development is the actual performance that result in the training activities, the actual performance by which it is calibrated that there is a visible upgrade, a visible output higher than what it used to be. And you must be able at every point in time to know if your organization is growing, developing or not. Not even minding that you train workshops and all of that, but output must be able to tell you an overall goal and performance of your business, your workforce are developing. And I think that is the basis to explain this development and training. All right, Mr. Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, and I want to believe Mr. Michael is happy with that response. Yes, if I were to respond to that, I would have said the same thing, exactly what he has just said. Okay, I think.
My name is Daniel. I have a question.
Yes, we may have to. One thing I need to inform everybody about is that we are going to create more of an association now that will be connected to, that will be like a transit point to become a member of CIPM. So everybody here will definitely be a member of that association by default. And you might even have opportunities of discussing areas of specialization and bring up issues like this, because 2 hours is not enough to discuss a topic, not to talk about when we have several other topics on ground. So please, let's be patient. You'll definitely be given the link to join that association that is going to be created. Latest tomorrow, next tomorrow, you'll be invited to be members. People, the groundwork has been done for the association to be created too. You're going to be pioneers. So I think we can just give some of our questions, be in the association, and we can chew out all these questions and answer them. Okay, I will say that I will be calling our next speaker. I want to believe she's around.
Please, I just have an important question, please. I want to be clarified about something.
Please, like I said, I don't know if you just heard me when I made a statement about everybody belonging into a similar association, the same association, where you can ask all your questions so that we can accommodate other speakers and other questions from other people. You are going to find yourself.
Let's move on to other topics. Let's move on to the other topics.
Okay. We are calling on Adeola Adepegba, if she's around. Madam, are you around?
I still can't see her, sir. She's not on the participant list.
Okay. What about Mr. Daniel Uyeme?
Mr. Daniel. Mr. Daniel, I don't know. I don't think so. I have here Mr. Daniel Musa, Daniel Nee, and yeah, that's only Daniel.
Daniel Uyeme.
Yeah.
Okay, while we wait for them, we can just have some extra time to wait. We can take up more questions since they are not available right now. Okay. Madam, you can call up some more persons to ask that question, please.
All right, Miss Miyaku Teresa, can you ask your question? You've been asked to unmute yourself, please. Miyaku Teresa.
Yeah. Good evening, madam. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes,
thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, sir, our moderator. Thank you also for the good work you are doing. The question that I would have loved to raise relating to the aspect of the CIPM, but based on what I just heard, so I think I might want to leave the question for now, since I already heard that a group will be.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that. I mean, you saved a lot of time. Okay, Mr. Rudolph Smith, can you please unmute yourself, Mr. Rudolph Smith?
Okay, thank you so much, facilitators. Thank you, organizers. Thank you, admin. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, my question is addressed to you. Even though because of time, I've dropped a comment, I want to advise that we can create a Q&A box apart from the chat where questions can be dropped and it can be answered even after the class on the various platforms. I have questions, but I don't think I want to drag this class backward. So if that can be addressed, that will go a long way to help us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rudolph. I think this has been addressed already when we said we are going to create, we already have an association and everybody is going to be added. No matter how far that association is going to be a transit point for those that even want to join CIPM. It helps them to easily join CIPM and have a leeway to CIPM. So in that very association, you can ask in fact, there will be time for people to discuss HR issues, ask questions, and we'll do further courses, more advanced courses there. So I think it's going to be home for everybody. Yeah. Next question, please.
Okay. Can we have Mr. Emmanuel Ogze?
No.
Mr. Emmanuel Ogze, can you please unmute yourself quickly?
Moderator, it's like you're not seeing my name. It's like you're not seeing me.
Yeah, because your hand is not raised. Can you please be patient? Let's attend to those that whose hands are raised. Okay, Mr. Emmanuel,
I have
if you're
something
not
to
there,
say.
Miss Esther Edafienene, sorry about the name. Can you please unmute yourself, Miss Esther or Mrs. Esther?
Good evening, ma. Good evening, sir. Thank you for the lecture. My question is this. During the lecture, you said that one can decide to specialize on the recruitment. How do you go about this specialization? And how with organization knows that you are a specialist in this area so as to be engaged? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, madam. One thing that is very important is that, HR practice have so many value chain of which you can choose to specialize in either of recruitment. Now, number one, the first thing to do is to build capacity for that particular line. Capacity, have an understanding of what it is. Once you have an understanding of what recruitment is, the next thing, what are the platforms which organization, for example, there are organizations that still carry out their recruitment by themselves. There are organizations who have chosen to outsource their recruitment processes. And it's like any other business that you carry, you establish. And you also, first thing first is master your trade. First thing to do is to master your trade through training, through mentorship. You don't just start one day and say you want to start recruitment. You must go through mentorship, because once you approach any organization for that assignment or consultancy, questions will be asked. And what are these questions? Your ability to deliver. And so for you to be able to answer this question properly, you must have gone through mentorship. You must have, done some free exercise if possible. Most cases, you have to find your way to join some other recruitment organizations whereby you understudy how it is being done. You must gather some experience or experiences for you to be able to be a specialist in that area. By the word specialist, it means you are an expert. And for you to be an expert, you must understand the trade. And for you to understand the trade, I will advise that you must undergo mentorship, you must participate in training, you must, I remember in those days, I used to have some lecturers in my institution who were just mere lecturers, who started lecturing from out of university. And he approached me and said, Mr. Emmanuel, yes, you are my student, but I noticed that you've been doing some practical recruitment. Please, I will give you a pro bono service. Just invite me to be on your recruitment panel. I want to understudy how it is done. That's my lecturer. That was my lecturer in our institution. And I did just that. And you could expose yourself to such practices. Now, marketing yourself, there are organizations, companies around. All you need is package yourself with some proper credentials and stationaries, like your complimentary card, your where you can be found, and of course you can use your social media platforms, and all of this can advertise you. And if you succeed in one, you can advertise your success, and that can also give you platform for another. And these are how you market your activities. But for carry out an excellent job, you must undergo mentorship, training, and of course, sometimes free services to already existing recruitment companies for you to be able to learn and understand the processes such a way that you can properly be placed.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. That was an
Thank you,
excellent
Yeah.
insight into that. Just to add a little to what he has just said, most times we don't take into cognizance the huge and the immense benefit derived from volunteering. Now you know Mr. Emmanuel is an HR personnel, expert in that area. You know you have thousands of organizations that have HR departments. You can volunteer to work with them for a month or two. Usually somebody will say, why should I work for an organization and they will not pay me? That is where you are going to have practical experience. Most times when you come out of school and they say, someone with 1 year experience, 6 months experience, or whatever experience, you don't have it. But just volunteering is enough for you to have it on your CV that you have experience as a recruiter. And added to what you just said, to just build capacity and do other things. But volunteering is very important. I want you to take it all serious. And I you seem to take a lot of things to you. There are huge possibilities and huge opportunities in becoming an expert in that area. Okay, the next person. Over to you, admin. The next person.
Okay. Chidebere Henry, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Can we do that quickly? Go ahead. We can't hear you. You're muted already. Okay. We have to move on. Success. You have success in your name. Chidebere, sorry about that. We couldn't hear you.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead and let's
Yes,
make it fast.
mine is not question actually. There are people on queue that want to join the Zoom, but they could not connect. It's telling them the maximum number has been reached, which is 300.
We will send them the recorded link. I mean, yeah, the recorded version, please.
All right, thank
I'm so
you.
sorry about that.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sammy Obayemi, can you unmute yourself? Quickly, please.
Good evening, everyone. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please. We can hear you.
Oh, please, I want to ask a quick question. If a recruitment exercise has not been properly carried out and the organization is ready to make amends, is it possible before the general recruitment exercise, or it can be done in a way that will bring out the people that are not qualified to be where they are? Hello?
Yeah. Okay. If I get you right, your question is if you discover an error in your recruitment process and you want to correct it. Yes, you can correct recruitment error, particularly if you have not done deployment. If you have not done deployment, you could correct your recruitment error. And of course, you have not committed yourself as long as you have not engaged, you have not issued appointment letter, you have not deployed. So you could still make amend at that point. However, the process of making amendment at that stage is different from when you have done deployment, you have issued appointment letter, you have engaged, and you suddenly realize that you have engaged a wrong person. Now, how do you identify a wrong person? Probably after background check, there are valid reasons why you could disengage somebody that you have just recruited. If information provided is contrary to what you discover upon background check, and you are not violating any rule, if you decide to correct that error by recruiting somebody in deception. Probably some people provide false information either about age, about their career path, about their experience, and upon your background check, you discover you can't properly disengage such person, and you probably not be committing any violation but you must follow the right protocol to do that. And what are these right protocol? Invite such person, engage the person, let the person understand that why he cannot go on without employment, and officially do a proper disengagement. At that point, you could correct it, but there must be very cogent reason why such will happen. Not because you suddenly discover a preferred candidate, or maybe you discover that, oh, I will have employed a family member instead of the recruitment I've done. You must have cogent reason to disengage that person. Of course, I want to assume that what we refer to as recruitment error is recruitment error indeed, because you can't call preference for a particular candidate for another as a recruitment error. Maybe out of, I don't like the face, or I now got somebody from my village, I didn't get that fellow on time, now I've gotten somebody from my village, I want to place the person and displace the other person. Those are not recruitment error, those are sentimental. But if it is term of capacity, performance, possibilities, and information related matter, or background check related matter, or falsehood related matter, you can correct it, and you will not be violating any rule. You will not be violating any law. As a matter of fact, you could claim some damages if it so be that you have expended some money and only to discover that such fellow has supplied wrong information or falsehood into the establishment. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
On to the next question. I'm sure that has been answered well. Mr. Akinola Elijah, please, can you unmute yourself and ask your question quickly?
All right, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you, everyone. All right, there's a situation I would like advice on how to address this. The company plans to expand, and in the process, we have recruited somebody. The person has dropped his resignation letter, but the management came and said, "Oh, this expansion is no longer needed." And you've sent a letter of appointment to the person, and the person has dropped his resignation letter where he was working, and we don't want to engage the person again. So how do we handle this kind of situation to avoid litigation? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elijah. I think we have had cases of this nature in the past. We've seen such situation where somebody had resigned, and unfortunately, the reason for engagement could not happen. It's really a tough one, really, for organization to do, because it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. At a cost in such a way that it can only be settled at a compensation table via dialogue. It would definitely come at a cost. And particularly, if it will become difficult for such fellow to go back to where he had earlier resigned, it will further increase the cost. Because if you have given an impression that a job is ready, and only for the applicant to find out that the job is not available, then of course it can be resolved, but it comes at a cost to the recruiting company, and the cost will involve compensation, financial compensation, to resettle that fellow and to avoid litigation. You cannot just write a letter and tell the fellow service is not required or service is not needed, and pretending as if that fellow is not qualified or what have you, or any, the best way to do is to come to a dialogue table and offer compensation. That's the only way out, to offer compensation. If that guy should engage you in a lockout, it's likely to have issue, because I don't know if in that letter, because from what your question, that fellow has not even spent 1 month. Of course, it is spelled in an appointment letter that either of the party can, in most cases, give a notice of disengagement. And that notice must not be less than a month in most cases, sometimes depending on the cadre and the category of employment. Sometimes it's in number of months. And sometimes some of this cannot be done until a probatory period is over and all of that. There are so many dynamics to engagement and disengagement. But to answer this question very straightforward, such a company must be ready to offer compensation and deploy dialogue, not by enforcing, not by imposition. And that is the best I can explain for now.
Thank you very much, sir. For those of us that are asking for the phone number of our speaker, we will get back to you through your classes. I'm sure that doctor will address that before we close tonight. Thank you very much, sir. I can see that Mr. Chidebere is now unmuted. Please go ahead and ask your question.
No more questions. No more questions.
Before you call the next person to ask question, I want to quickly chip in that for those of you asking,
my hands have been up all this while. I've been talking.
No more questions.
My hands have been up.
Sorry, sir. I'm just joining now.
I just don't know the criteria you are using to call people. Please, I don't know.
Madam Grace, you are so sorry about that. There are so many hands.
Okay. Madam, before I respond to you, I want to quickly talk about the person asking for phone number. The admin, the coordinator here, the host just responded to that. And in addition to what she just said, I want everybody to understand that there's going to be a group, a professional body that is going to be created for everyone here, particularly for those that will get their certificates and move to the next stage. They will be added to that group. There you have, in fact, you'll be talking to Mr. Emmanuel and so many other experts from even CIPM. So when you do that, you can be rest assured that your journey into HR and specialization is rest assured. We've discussed everything, we've planned out everything to make sure that your program doesn't end here with La Plage. It moves on from this stage to the next stage. So if you've always dreamt of becoming an HR generalist or specialist in any area, just know that your journey just started and you're on the right footing. So I will answer that. I will want to talk to Madam. Madam, please, we don't have any criteria for choosing anybody. As long as your hand is raised, we'll call you. And if we don't call you, probably it was network. So we intend to call everyone, though that might not be possible, but no extra special measure is being put forward to select anybody to ask questions. So please feel free, and once the admin calls you to ask your question, you'll be asking.
Hello.
Over to you, admin, please.
Yes, sir.
Admin, I have a question to ask.
Okay, Mr. I know you have a question, but please, we are taking these questions according to the answers I raised. And according to the list I have with me, I have Mr. Chidebere now. So please be patient so that if I have your hand up, it will get to you, especially if you have the time to that. Mrs. Grace will get to you. I think you are number 3, in the second person after this, Mr. Chidebere. So let's be patient, please. Mr. Chidebere, can you be quick, please? 1, 2, going. Yes. Honorable Blessing Afolabi, please go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Ibere is now available. Honorable Afolabi. Sorry, unmute yourself again.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Blessing Afolabi by name. Please, my is the other time our speaker was talking about the age differences. I was once a banker and a contract staff back then, and then when my employer employed me, I was 24 thereabouts, and I worked there for about 10 years. So I was a contract staff, and when they wanted to start recruiting permanent staff, they said they are recruiting maximum of 24 years again. Then I've worked with the bank for like 10 years as a contract staff. Now, how do you expect us that have worked for the bank, that have served the bank? We are unable to apply again as full staff. And we that we are insiders, we are not being converted. Even we have previous knowledge of the job, the profession, and yes, they are not even requesting for our own knowledge. They are still taking outsiders, like employing outsiders. And this is really, really affecting the work. Later, you sack them and they will be in the labor market having nothing to do. So how do we correct such? How do we find what solution can we do presently in this situation? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And this question is a big one, and I can understand the constraint and the concern there. Unfortunately, our employment environment in Nigeria is such that employers and organizations most time dictate and determine what they want to do and how they want to do their businesses. Unfortunately, our law, particularly the 1999 Constitution as amended, does not in any way protect scenarios of such. For example, you have just given a practical account of your age, why you joined the business, and your age at a point where they now needed somebody of your age 10 years ago to start the job. Of course, you cannot ask the bank or the establishment not to determine the benchmark for age, particularly probably what they want to engage such people for are different from what you are currently doing. That is also possible. I want to believe that age bracket of 24 and your current age at the time that advert was placed, there's every likelihood that the role and responsibility may not be the same. That must be understandable. And somebody asked a question of internal recruitment, and that is where the issue of internal recruitment comes to play. And I can say without any doubt, somebody who had been with the business for 10 years will definitely understand the business environment, do better than somebody who is coming in even at 25. However, sometimes the organizations have certain reasons why they put environment in our country today, particularly in some other countries, because I understand that we have students from other countries here. People on casual or casualization. Those are the victim. Those are the problem of casualization. When it is time for proper placement, very few organizations, very few attempt to upgrade it's unfortunate that that is where we have found ourselves as a country, and the law does not protect such people at that level. For example, you cannot take the bank to court for discriminating against you or for not engaging you for a 24 years required age limit. You can't win that case, unfortunately. And that is the unfortunate business environment where we operate as a nation and as a people across the world. And that is just unfortunate, really. It's unfortunate. Thank you.
Okay, I think I will quickly want to chip in something here in addition to what Mr. Emmanuel just said. over the years, having traversed over a wide margin of the country's employment space, I always have an advice for everybody. Yes, you can include it in your CV, Mr. Amos Osekwume. Yes, you can include it in your CV and they can confirm from us. We also always receive messages from embassies and respond to them about our students. So feel free. Now, as I was trying to say, please, just the way organizations make efforts to do training and development for their staff, you see yourself as an organization. Try and develop yourself. The speaker, Mr. Emmanuel, kept talking about capacity building. Undergo all manner of trainings you can undergo, especially if you can afford it. Build capacity for yourself and propel yourself to a point where you become headhunted to a place, a position where people look for you. They don't look at your CV, they don't look at your certificate, they just listen to you talk, and the next thing they want to engage you. Like my friend that spent 10 years in the bank, if we had met before now, all I would have advised you to do is not to look forward to getting re-engaged after 10 years, but to get yourself within that 10 years, develop to such a point that the bank will look for you for a particular service. I'm speaking from personal experience, because whether you like it or not, the truth needs to be told. Like when I was a training manager, you always do induction and let the staff know that the organization's goals are this and that, blah, 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 yes. But the question you should also ask yourself as a staff is that, what is your own personal goal in life? You intend to work for 20, 30 years and wait for a pension? You intend to work for some time, develop yourself? Does that organization provide you with the opportunity to even get developed? Let's talk about ourselves now. So after 10 years, you have become a material that you don't apply for jobs, rather than insist you must be retained. Because after 10 years, there are certain things you must have developed. They just know that it is not just going to be possible for them to find you somewhere else, hence you must be retained. Less for them, they always want somebody younger just coming in, but there are qualities you must have amassed. Take, for instance, there are some TT problems in your department in that bank. If you have developed yourself to take care of those problems and make sure that the bank enjoys your presence and those problems don't rear its ugly head, there is no way they will not want you to stay back. This is just, by the way, anyway, just in addition to what he has said, point of view of the employee. Okay, over to you, moderator. Do you still have anyone that has a question?
Yes, now, Madam Grace Armstrong. Can you please, can you please go ahead and ask your question?
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, what I want to ask is exactly what you have just addressed. So I'm okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. This is one of the reasons why we say we should be, patient, because from the, answers to most of these questions, we answer some of the questions you have in mind. I'm so glad to hear that from you, Mrs. Grace. Thank you so much. Okay, I have here now, Mr. Chidebere. Please let me give you the last chance because I see you are still here. So please, that's the third time I'm calling you. Chidebere, please go ahead, unmute yourself now. Yes. Or maybe your audio has a problem because I see you are still, you're muted and we can't hear you. So for you to know that we try to really hear you, you can, write your question in the chat room. I think that's better. So I move on to Mr. Jeremiah. I just have Jeremiah. Unmute yourself and ask your question, Mr. Jeremiah. Mr. Chidebere, I will advise you to type your question, please.
Good evening, ma, and thanks for the opportunity once again. Okay, ma, my question goes thus. I have been I have this passion for HR for while now. So I've been pushing. I've backed the course. I've attempted the course when it comes to the HR field. So I have a bit idea on when it comes to the HR field. So that aside, I have been applying for HR intern positions lately, but even with my application, I discovered that I've not been receiving invites from maybe like from HRs concerning as regards my application, like HR internship or HR trainee. And what happened lately is that I had an opportunity for a remote HR role, which is an unpaid role though. So I was scheduled for the interview. So it's occurred in two phases. The first phase I attended it. So I moved on to the second phase of the interview. And suddenly, this lasted for just like less than 2 weeks, the first phase and second phase. And so suddenly, the last response I got was a rejection mail. So I was like surprised at what is the problem. So I don't know if you can shed more light on it, or I don't know why it is so. And it's not that maybe I didn't really put effort or so. I have cover letters for this. I do make sure when I'm applying for most of these HR positions, I make use of cover letters as well. So table cover letter talking about my new interests when it comes to the HR field and my opportunity of being certified also. And also, apart from that, I want to know more about some of the aspects of the HR field. Like I do hear HR business partners, I do hear about HR specialists, I do hear about HR analysts and some few other. Like I want to know what it entails as well. So that's why I'm asking this question, from the first question to the second question.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't get the first one very correctly, but I understand that you suffer rejection at some point. And,
Yes, sorry, sir, and the rejection, it happens to be that it is even like it's not paid. It's so I'll be the one to engage in everything, both data and all that. Although it's a remote role. So I was surprised why after, and it's not that maybe I did not do well. I put in my best at that. And that aside, I've been applying for other HR internship role or like HR, although I don't really have experience as regards it. I don't have experience in the HR field, but I have experience in like administrative role, but not HR role. So I was like, probably maybe that's why I've not been receiving HR invites. And even the last one I got a rejection mail for the internship after going through two phases of the virtual interview.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think your question is very clear. And for you to suffer rejection, number one, there are different criteria and requirements organization puts on the table to engage somebody. And if I also understand that this is supposed to be a voluntary engagement. However, sometimes experience is needed for certain level of engagement. And it's unfortunate that you got that rejection. Perhaps, if need be, I may need to see some of those. We may need to see maybe through Laplace platform that will be created now. We could make some offer or help in the area of your papers, because sometimes some things that are neglected on your CV in the putting together your resume, your cover letter, may just be reason why some rejection happen. And so that may need to be taken care of. before you can have that. And there are so many other things. You could be at the point of engagement in your conversation, in your interview, and maybe certain level of conditions that is not suitable. In recruitment process, that's what we call suitably qualified. Suitably qualified. You can't separate the two. Sometimes somebody is qualified for a position but not suitable. And sometimes somebody is suitable but not qualified. But for a proper recruitment, these two goes together. For you to be properly placed in an employment, you must be suitably qualified. And that is very fundamental for most organizations. And so I think we'll take care of that in possible future engagement via the platform that will be created by LaPlage. And so that let's deal with that because of time at that level. And you also mentioned the second question now about what? I can't pick it again. What was the second question after the rejection? Are you still online?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't really pick the
Anyway,
second question.
I suggest we just maybe you type the second question. Because of time, I will see quite a number of people's hands up. And I just want to say to Mr. Daniel Uyime, please, you can write your comments or your suggestion because of time.
No, Mr. Daniel is the next speaker.
It's actually our long expected speaker.
Okay. All right. He wants to, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so please unmute yourself, sir, because he wants to, he's one of our speakers, please.
Hello, good evening, all.
Good
evening. I'm here about that, sir.
I'm very sincere, my sincere apology for joining late. I had a little challenge with my network here. It's good to be here. I want to quickly add a voice to the question the young man asked. First and foremost, these days, in this present jet age we are in, where HR is the key factor in most organizations, you can't go in to getting a job without acquiring an experience in the HR field. Now, where you are an administrative officer, you've had an experience in the administrative field, and you don't have an experience in the HR field, that's completely two different things altogether. Even though sometimes admin officers tend to do little of what HR does. However, it is key that you must acquire an HR experience. You must get that experience. And it's, some organizations don't just look at you getting just the experience. Sometimes little professional courses here and there can earn you that job. But where you don't have it, there's no way someone will look at you and say, this person is serious. When you are coming to the HR line, HR business, when you are coming to wanting to apply in the HR field, you must have something, a certification to show that you have interest, to show that you have something in that line, and then you can be considered. And then I want to advise him again also that he should try as much as he can to discuss with the Lafarge, the platform. Let them see how they can organize training just like this one, where you can be certified at the end of the day with a certificate in the HR field, at least having a course. You've done a course in the HR field. That alone will boost his CV and he won't be turned down. And so why he's turned down is because you are dealing with professionals in their various respective fields, in various offices, and you are coming to apply for HR role where you don't have experience, you don't have certification, you've not done a course in that line, you won't be considered. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. God bless, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Daniel Oyeme. Sorry, madam. I'm overriding you now. I just yes, Mr. Daniel Oyeme is actually one of the guest speakers we were expecting. And we have just about 24 minutes. So, Mr. Daniel, you are going to compress your discussion on compensation and benefits in just 10, 14 minutes. Wow. While we use the remaining 10 minutes to ask questions. Meanwhile, I need to remind you that we've done everything in the class on WhatsApp, so we are not going to go through it as a course.
Okay.
We just want to hear from you as an expert on the ground. on compensation and benefits. Just brief overview about it, a practical approach. It's something you can discuss in just 5 minutes, and we are giving you 14 minutes to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osemegwe.
Yes.
I want to appreciate you for having me. And thank you all for being patient till this time. I want to say that compensation and benefit in brief, I'm happy that we've had that on the WhatsApp platform. But let me summarize it to say that every organization have what we call compensation and benefits. It may not be a department per se. It may be a unit. It may be one of the arm of every organization. But however it is, compensation and benefit cannot be done without having HR in place. So compensation and benefit has to do with HR. It's a role in the HR department. Now, I am the head of welfare unit where compensation and benefit is practiced. And I'll just give you a short brief or a lowdown on what is compensation and benefit, what is expected, and what should we be looking at as a compensation and benefit. Now, when you give your time, when you give your energy, when you give your productivity to any organization, it is expected that the organization should reciprocate that effort, that time, that energy that you concentrate in ensuring productivity in any organization. And so one of the ways that that is done is via compensation and benefit unit. Now, the compensation and benefit deals with so much. It's beyond salary. It's beyond bonus. It's beyond allowances. It's a whole package. Now, when we say compensation, we are talking about payment for productivity in monetary value. When we talk of benefits, we are talking about payment of productivity in non-monetary value. Example could just be like a handshake. Okay, a staff does very well in an organization. That staff should be appreciated. And one of the ways could just be a handshake. Sometimes they could just do something placed on the organization. This is the best staff of the year. All right. So that is benefit. Now, we have to look at several factors that makes up compensation and benefit. Now, one of it is what we call internal equity. Internal equity, you look at, is one of the major factors that has to do with compensation and benefit. You look at the productivity of the staff internally and determine what that person is entitled to. While the external equity talks about looking at the same organization, for instance, if it's a financial industry, what is obtainable in other financial industry should also be applicable to this particular financial industry where you are. So that has to do with comparison between one organization and the other and looking at what is obtainable there that should be obtainable here. Now, that is just two factors. I'm just trying to run with the time. However, I want to say this, that most organizations don't really handle this compensation and benefit very well. Now, a staff will put in his or her effort and does not get commensurate appreciation for what he or she does, which is wrong. Some organizations don't even pay for overtime. Overtime is part of the benefit. It's part of the compensation. Overtime. Some don't even give leave allowance. It's part of the compensation and benefit. Some don't even give handshake, appropriate handshake, which is part of the compensation and benefit. All of these are what encompasses compensation and benefit. Now, what should I do as a staff to ensure that the right compensation or benefit is appropriated to me? Now, various organizations have their policies, their guidelines, their policies with which they use in appropriating various compensation and benefit to staff. Now, what applies to A company may not apply to B company. What applies to B company may not apply to C company. However, what is more important is understand what plays out in your organization. Understand what plays out in your organization. Now, I see someone just ask a question. While I'm talking, I'll just be chipping in some things when I'm saying some proper question. Now, benefits may not necessarily be monetarily in value. Benefits may not necessarily be monetarily in value. In some organizations, they give what they call long service award. Long service award may not be monetarily in value. It could just be a purchase of a package. They just give you something, oh, thank you so much for working with us for this number of years. Say 5 years, some organizations do it 5 years. Some organizations do it 10 years. Some do it 15 years, like that. But majorly, it is not necessarily a monetary value. It does not, it's non-monetary in value. All right, get it now. Now, why benefit, benefit is not monetary, why compensation is monetarily in value? You talk about things like salary. At the end of the month, you get your salary, get paid. Those are monetary value. Sometimes you talk about allowances. Some have transport allowances. Some have furniture allowances. Some have dressing allowances. Those are monetary value. But non-monetary value, when you say benefits, they are non-monetary value. Now, get this straight. Understand what plays out in your organization. What plays out in this organization may not play out in the other organization. But the HR policy is very clear that the compensation aspect and non-compensation aspect are what forms both the compensation and benefit. We need to understand this. And you need to understand the percentage that plays out when this compensation and benefit is being paid. All right, I'm seeing a question here. Right, please, what is the difference between severance package and terminal benefit? All right, severance package is quite different from terminal benefit. Terminal benefit, some organization calls it exit package. Severance package is when a staff exited unprepared. For example, a policy can come up from the federal government that all staff from level 13 are to step down, who has served for 5 years. Of course, there was a policy from the Federal Civil Service that came out through the Office of the Presidency. I think that was sometimes last year, that all directors should step down. I'm sure many of us are aware. Now, that's emergency dismissal, or let me not say dismissal, that unpreparedness, that period terminating the appointment and asking them to go. What you are paying them is not exit package, it's not terminal benefit, it is called severance. You are severing them from their job before their time.
Yes, yes, yes.
Are we getting, so you are severing them from their job before their time. So what you are paying them will be higher than what you will be paying them if they are to be terminated, if they are to go on terminal benefits. What you'll be paying them will be higher because you have decided to cut down their termination date before time. And so they will be paid severance package. Why terminal benefits is what you pay them when they exit the system at the right time. For example, someone has gotten to 35 years of age, 35 years in service, and is leaving. You pay him terminal benefit. His services have come to an end. So that is what is called terminal benefit. Now, I think I would prefer to answer one question because I've eaten more of my time. So I don't know, the coordinator, do I still have more time to still say one or two things, or I should just answer the questions I'm seeing on the chat box?
I think, okay. So, boss, Dr. Please go ahead, sir. I didn't know you were there.
While you are talking, if you find questions, you can ask. But in the next 4 minutes, you should be
okay. I have. Okay. I'm seeing a question here.
Okay.
Yes. Can we say when an employee is disengaged from an organization because of non-performance should be paid severance package? All right. Let me answer this. Now, when an employee is disengaged from an organization, because that one is non-performance. Now, we are not, severance has to do with you were asked to go either because of a policy, not because you did something wrong. When you are terminated, either because of non-performance or negligence at your place of work, you can't be paid severance package. You won't be paid severance package. You will only be entitled to, maybe some organizations like mine, where I am, it is 10 years. If you have spent 10 years or 11 years per se, and you are disengaged from service because you had a disciplinary cases on your head, either a disciplinary case of non-performance or a disciplinary case of pilfering or stealing or something. Now, at that point, you'll be paid your exit package, what is called terminal benefit. However, why you are paid that is simply because you have gotten to that particular years in service. But we're in a situation where you don't perform and you didn't get to an expected years in service. Of course, your years of service must be respected. Nobody will pay you anything like that. All you'll be entitled to. In fact, sometimes some organization will ask you to pay 2 years to pay 2 months in lieu. Some organization will ask you to pay 2 months in lieu before even leaving, even after they have dismissed you or sacked you because of non-performance. But please understand that severance package is quite different from terminal. Please, is severance different from redundancy exercise? All right, redundancy exercise is more of, now, when you're talking about redundancy is where, okay, let me just give you an instance now. In my organization, they ask people to go on redundancy. That one is the organization asking you to go on redundancy. Now, redundancy in the sense that you have staff who are not graduates, for instance, who are not graduate. And the policy of the federal government is saying, look, you cannot have staff who are not graduate on your payroll. And so these people are asked to go. So they will be paid the same thing as you are paying someone who is going on severance package. So severance package is not quite different from redundancy exercise. Please, how do you advise a staff working in an organization that has no form of compensation or benefit? Please, how do you advise a staff working in an organization that has no form of compensation and benefit? Well, every organization must have compensation and benefit. Every organization has it. You are getting your salary, you are getting your transport allowance, you are getting your whatever allowance that accrue to you. That is compensation and benefit. You are being compensated. You are getting benefit. So there is no staff in any organization that is not entitled to this. And so please understand that every staff is entitled to compensation and benefit. If an employee is being sacked without any explanation, can the person take action against the company? Yes. Yes. If you are being sacked from an organization without any explanation, please, you can take action against the company. Number one, you are to write, asking the company, you are a staff, asking the company why you were sacked. You need to know why you were dismissed, why you were sacked. Why was your contract terminated? And please understand the policies guiding the organization where you work. Know the pitfalls so as to avoid being dismissed or being sacked. Find out what your offense are, what your offense were, what is your benefit? What will happen to you when you are being when you fall off the policies guiding the organization? What happens to you? You need to know the nitty-gritty, the policies guiding the organization where you work, so you won't fall victim of being sacked. But where you are being sacked, please write to the organization to give you an explanation why you're being sacked. I'll give you a story. A young man was being sacked from an organization. A whole lot of them were being sacked. That's the truth. Now, everybody left. This young man came back to ask the manager, the managing director, sir, I was among those that were being sacked. What was my offense? The next question the managing director said was, were you also sacked? I said, yes, I was sacked. This is my letter. 24 hours, not up to 24 hours. The termination letter was reversed. So sometimes find out why, if you are being sacked, find out why you are being sacked. Let them get an explanation. Don't just take the sack letter as your, this is my fate. Some people will claim it's their fate. This is what God wanted. This is how God wanted. No. So write to the organization to give you an explanation why you're being sacked. And where you don't get response, you take action from there. Because you are entitled to getting answers why you're being sacked. Now, government policy has made organization to relieve about 200 staff of their jobs. What do these people get, sir? Severance package or terminal benefit? Now, governments are the ones relieving people of their jobs. You won't get terminal package. You will get severance benefit. And let me see, severance package is quite better. It's quite huge compared to that benefit, because there are some components that will play out. One of the components that will play out in your severance package is that you might, in some policies, you'll be paid, aside from your exit package, you'll be paid 2 years or 3 years of your salary emolument. That will be added to. Of course, I know some people are laughing. This is better. But the truth of the matter is that if you are giving severance, if the government is asking you to go, they relieve you of your job, they are going to pay you severance package, not terminal benefit. Because they are the one asking you to go. So they have to compensate you very well. So there are a lot of things that comes into play in severance package. One of it, which I just stated, is, of course, your annual salary will be paid to you in full, and it could be 2-3 years of your annual salary added to other packages that will follow up with the severance package. I think I've answered a good, okay. No allowance, only salary, yet work overtime, including weekend. I don't understand this question. Is this a question, Mr. Semegwe? Are you seeing that question?
Yes, Mr. Daniel Yume, you have done excellently well with the very short few minutes you were given. We want to pick just 2 or 3 questions, because we intend to leave here 9 on the dot. The admin, I don't know if you are here to just pick 3 persons to ask their questions.
Yes, I'm still here, sir.
Okay, please,
okay, the next 3.
Make your question very, very brief. We don't have time, and so that the facilitator can also respond briefly to your question. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Mutiat Okunowo, please, can you quickly unmute yourself and ask your question?
My question, my question.
Ms. Andrews, to get to you. You are after Ms. Mutiat. Yes, go ahead. Ms. Mutiat, Mrs. Mutiat. Okay, Mrs. Mutiat, we can't hear you. Maybe it's your audio. So we'll move on quickly to Mr. Andrew Akowe. Ms. Mutiat, please, can you write your question in the chat room, because we can't hear you.
Please, can I get the chance? I was the first to this particular session.
Can you be a bit audible?
Mr. Andrew, please, are you talking? We can't hear you.
Yes, I'm
go
with
ahead.
You. Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for the privilege, ma'am. My question is, what do you do while working with an establishment or organization that doesn't have a job, that doesn't have a job security for their staff, and an organization that will just wake up anytime to sack a staff without any reason, and tell those staff to be paid 1 month's salary, as the case may be?
Hello. Sorry, I was cut off at a point.
I think I heard his question.
Hello, sir.
Mr. Andrew.
Yes, sir.
I think I heard his question. I don't know if I can respond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can. You can.
Okay, thank you. If you work in an organization where they just wake up and sack staff, I think first Every organization should have a policy. Every organization should have a policy. There's no organization that will just wake up and sack staff. Find out, please. One of the things I plead with staff is that when you are employed in an organization, first and foremost, what you should do as a duty to help yourself is find out the policies. Have a written document of the organization policies. Study it. Know what your rights are. Know what your privileges are. Know what your duties are. Know what your benefits are. Don't just accept an employment and offer and you don't take time to study what the organization is all about, what their policies are. If you don't know the organization policies, you will fall victim of just being dismissed anyhow. All right, let me give you an instance. A lady was sacked in an organization. Of course, that does not play out anymore. That is why we should read and read and read. Africans, we don't read. The lady was dismissed on the ground that she got pregnant. And then she was coming with her pregnancy to work. And then the organization looked at her and said, no, we cannot continue to entertain you with your pregnancy here. The question here is this. What was our offense? Our offense was that she got pregnant. And the policy of the organization says you must not be pregnant until after 5-10 years. Of course, some of us are aware that there are some organizations like that. So they just wake up and decided to sack her. But you see, we have what we call ILO. International labor law is there. The international labor law supersedes any country's labor law. We should read. This lady went following the advice of a professional, went to study the ILO, the international labor law, and discovered that she shouldn't be sacked and took the matter to court. Of course, industrial court. And the matter was stricken out. She won her case. She was reinstated and paid 1 year's salary for being sacked, all because she was pregnant. Please, let's take time to study the policies of your various organizations. Some dismissals are not warranted. And where that happens, please, you can seek for a professional advice from HR. Go outside, look for a professional advice, get help, and then you will get justice for your rights. So for that young man asking, you just wake up and sack people, no way. You can take the organization up. But before then, please be armed to the teeth with information about the policies of the organization. Get information. Study the policy, be guided by the policy, so that when you are asked to go, just like that, for no reason, then you can take it up from there. I think I've answered this question.
Thank you very much, sir. It's already 9 o'clock Nigerian time. I'm not sure. Doctor, sir, do we still have...
Let's just take 2 more questions, then I will cap it up with a response on the CITM membership.
How many more questions, sir? So that I will
Just
know.
two. Just two.
Just two. So for the rest of us, please, if you can, I'm going to call Mr. Ezeoku and Chika, just the two of you. So for the rest of us, please, we are very sorry. We won't be able to take all the questions. You can type your questions. You can see that Mr. Daniel is doing a very good job answering the questions in the chat room.
Please, ma, I just saw someone saying, please, you have not been attending to my questions. I'm sure the person has been asking and asking and asking and asking. I don't know. One Ajayi Aina David. I don't know if
that
you
person
can
must
take
be
a
very,
question.
the name is, the
Thank you,
hand is
Mr.
not
Daniel.
hot, so
okay, thank you.
yeah, your hand is not hot. Maybe that's why I didn't see you ask question. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. You have been favored. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ajayi, your question, please.
Mr. Ajayi, please, can you ask your question?
Yes, good
you, Mr. Ajayi Abdulli Inyang?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yes. Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead.
I have a question to ask, which is, what is the fate of an employee who has been alleged for this, but who is not being dismissed, but instead the company informed him that he will be on an indefinite leave until otherwise, but during the period, the individual is not being paid salary or any other benefit. What is the fate of this individual? Is it that the company should not pay the individual whilst the investigation is on, or the individual ends a benefit? Hello?
Mr.
Hello?
Daniel, you can go ahead responding to him.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Mr. Daniel, are you there?
Hello?
Mr. Daniel, are you there?
Okay, but let me quickly respond to that.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. David.
Yes, sir.
But sorry, Mr. David, who had asked that question, I know.
Yes, thank you. I've been an active member of the WhatsApp class.
Sorry, Mr. Aino.
Yes, sir.
I'm responding to Mr. Aino's question.
It was Mr. Abdullahi Yan that asked that question, not Mr. David.
Okay.
I would like to say categorically that companies, particularly if it is not in your employment letter, that cases of suspension without pay, if it is not mentioned in your employment letter, you are at liberty to make demand, either through legal means, of course, legal means. You shouldn't take law into your hand, to make demand for a pay or termination. No company has rights, particularly if it is not in your engagement letter. If it is your engagement letter and you have signed to it, fine. But if it is not in your engagement letter that while you are on suspension, you will not be paid, you are entitled to approach a competent court of jurisdiction to prosecute that offense against you. That's number one. Number two is that no company, no investigation whatsoever to warrant an indefinite suspension, and investigation not carried out. Every investigation should be rounded off maximum of 3 months. Maximum of 3 months. And while you're on suspension, the least an organization can do for you is to put you on half salary. And after which, if the investigation is for or against you, if it is for you, your payment will be updated. If it is against you and the company chooses to terminate your employment, then all necessary things have to be done. But I need to say that no organization has to terminate an employee indefinitely without pay. Because the implication is this: while you are on suspension, your employment has not been terminated. And by law, it is assumed that you are still in the engagement or employment of that establishment, and you cannot take employment in another establishment while you are on suspension. That is the implication. So, and law frown at subjecting you to unnecessary pain and sufferness. The law is frowned at that. And so the organization must do everything possible. There's nothing wrong about suspending a staff, but you cannot suspend a staff without pay indefinitely. It is against the law of the land. And just like Mr. Daniel said, it is against the ILO. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. I think at this point, we may not be able to go ahead taking up
my own question, please. I don't think
it calls for this. I just mentioned something. We need to start taking note of certain things. If you're in a program like this, please, every single message sent out should be very important to you. I just told you that this program is not going to end here. There's going to be a group that's going to be created, and this group that will be created will be managed by qualified members of CIPM, including Mr. Emmanuel, and I'm sure even Mr. Daniel Yume will be there. In that very group, there will be sessions like this where you can ask as much questions as possible. Of course, there's no way we can take everybody's question. The time is not favorable. So just make sure you are in that group, and we're going to announce it. Only those that we pay for the certificate will be seen to be serious about furthering going the distance as far as HR is concerned. So if you cannot ask your question here, please just relax. Just relax. You will have time to ask that question in that very group. Every single person will be added to that group. Thank you. Once again, I want to say thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Mr. Daniel Uyime, even though he was thrown out by the network. I also want to thank Mr. Emmanuel. He is always available. Say thank you to our host, all the way from Netherlands. She has done an excellent job moderating this platform. I want to say that this is one wonderful opportunity for everybody to participate and listen to experts in the field, authorities in the field. And for becoming members of CIPM, I think I will give Mr. Emmanuel some few minutes to talk about that. To cognizance, this current certificate you're going to get now, the group that is going to be created, and the eventual migration to CIPM. And somebody just asked, the certificate is just 5,000 naira. Now, there's a video that I made concerning payment for certificate and why we made it so. It is deliberate. It is deliberate to encourage people to read, to encourage people to explore opportunities around them, to encourage people to move ahead. We are an organization that don't intend to stop people from making progress simply because they don't have money. Yes, we want you using technology to be able to access as much information as possible, as much knowledge as possible, as much certification as possible, as much progress as possible in your chosen field. Now this is HR. You've chosen HR management. You are going to go as far as you decide to go with this very certificate you're going to get. Over to you, Mr. Emmanuel, concerning joining CIPM. And welcome back, Mr. Daniel Uyime. Mr. Emmanuel, over to you. Some persons want to know how to join CIPM.
Yeah. Now CIPM has some number of routes by which you can join. One, you can join by enrolling as a student while you write exam. We also have HR practitioners route, meaning that you're already a practicing HR person and you have attained not less than 7 years of work experience as an HR person, 5 of which must be at management level, then you can be inducted after filing in your credentials, your CV, and verifiable work experience. That is another route. We have the executive route, which also must mean that you are being not less than level 15 officer in the civil service, and or not less than 15 years of work experience at that level. And that also gives you a status within the CIPM that we have the student membership, we have the ACIPM associate membership, we have the full membership, and we have a fellow of the institute. We also have corporate membership. You can also be a member via your company. Your company can apply, particularly if your company is into HR-related services. You can apply as a corporate member, and you'll be duly recognized as such. And of course, for these categories, we have students that enroll via admission and go through the different stages of our exams, of which all things being equal, depending on if you are a graduate and you have studied courses related to social sciences, within a year and 2, you could write all the exams in their stages. We have exams in about 3 to 4 times in a year. And what that means is that if you are able to pass all these stages, within a year and a half, you can get certified. You can get certified passing through these exams. And most exams now are remote. You could write exam online and get qualified and all of that. So depending on your experience and exposure in your HR field, if you are already one in practice, or if you intend to switch from your current career path to HR, we could talk more on this after now via the platform that will be created by LaPlage, of which we will be having input at that platform. I think for the sake of time, these are some of the few things you can, but CIPM is open to everyone willing to practice HR or become certified in the profession of human resource management. And I can tell you, it's a place to be. It's a professional body that you would like to be part of, looking at our shared value and value propositions for professionals. Thank you, Doctor. I don't know if Mr. Daniel have one or two things to say.
Okay, let me quickly add something to what you have just said. You have done very well, sir.
Coincidentally, sorry, let me introduce you properly. Coincidentally, just about a week ago, I emerged in a keenly contested election as the branch chairman for CIPM in Kaduna State, and coincidentally, Mr. Daniel is the branch secretary. So, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and thank you for having me. I think a lot of people are indicating interest to become members of CIPM. I will quickly advise that now the chairman is on this call, the chairman of CIPM Kaduna State branch, covering the whole of Kaduna State, and in fact threatening to extend beyond the state. Now we have CIPM all over the federation, and CIPM is the highest regulatory body of human resource practice in Nigeria. If you must be a licensed human resource practitioner, you must have CIPM. And joyfully, we have the chairman of the Kaduna State branch in our midst. So it's easier. What you just need to do is, if you've never had an experience, you never had any certification, I'm believing that the chairman is here. He will ensure that time to time, courses are organized for people to be trained. And once you are trained, you'll be certified with CIPM certificates. Now, once you get that CIPM certificate, at least if you do like up to 6 or 7 courses in CIPM and you are certified by CIPM, you are already on your way to becoming a CIPM professional. All you need to do is have at least 6, 7 courses and then combine with your experience in HR. If it's up to 7 years, beautiful, you are good to go. You join the practitioner's route. So I'm happy that the chairman is here and he's talking to all of us. So please take this opportunity. If you want to be recognized as a professional in human resource practice in Nigeria, you must have CIPM certificate. And most jobs now you see in the market, you will see you must have a CIPM certificate. All of it, most of it now. And even in the federal parastatal, the federal civil service, it is now mandatory that those practicing as admin officers and HR officers, they must have CIPM certification. So please take this opportunity, take it very seriously. The chairman is here. I'm telling you, he's going to make things very easy for all of us.
And the good thing that LaPlage Metaverse is becoming, has created a platform by which a pipeline is going to be available for migration into this membership. And so LaPlage and CIPM will go to be doing a great work in days ahead. And let us all look out for those opportunities that will be created by LaPlage and CIPM, particularly Kaduna State Branch, where we will be creating platform and opportunity where this membership drive will be achieved. Thank you and God bless you. Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. But one more thing before you leave, because it's coming up frequently. What do you advise those that are outside Nigeria? Because we have a lot of students from outside Nigeria. I can see Ghana, Uganda, and all that, even Cameroon. With regards to membership of CIPM, what do you advise?
Yes, membership, our membership is global. As we speak, we have branch in Canada, we have branch in UK. CIPM inaugurated some 2 years ago in UK and in Canada. And of course, we are expanding to other countries where we can have it. And membership is global. You can be a member from wherever you are across the world. But the good thing is that if you are doing exams, your certification can be done remotely. And anyway, irrespective of where you are, your location across the
I think he has passed the message across. We can now gradually wind up this meeting so that we can move ahead and do some other things. Special thanks to Mr. Emmanuel Gubi and Daniel Yime, and our special host all the way from Netherlands hosting this meeting. I want to say thank you to everybody. I also want to say thank you to every single student here for taking out time to be part of this program. Yes, okay. Once again, in your class, make your payment for your certificate. Please note that the 4 subject areas are covered with that 5,000 you are paying. And it's a special package that you may never get to meet again anywhere in the world. This might just be the first and last time. And as soon as the account number is posted in your class, make your payment. From tomorrow, certificates will be issued. For those of you that we need time to read, take your time to read. You have till next weekend, this coming weekend, to make your payment, take your test, and if you pass, you get your certificate. So you have enough time to read. So don't be in a hurry, don't rush it up. If you are very fast and you'll be moving along the same line with the lecture, and you can take your test now, you can take your test this night, tomorrow morning, and get your certificate. And we are going to also send the recorded version of this program to the class. Everybody will get a recorded version to watch, so nobody is going to be left out. And finally, get ready to be invited to join a group by SMS, by email, or WhatsApp group, or whatever. Please just get ready to join that HR group that is going to be created any moment from now. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lafarge, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for this wonderful session.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless
So much.
you.
I'm so happy. So much.
Thank you very much.
Bless you all.
So much. I'm grateful for privilege of part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you for this great meeting.
Thank you for the
Thank you so
lecture.
much, sir. God bless
I
you.
do hope that
God bless
Learned a
you
lot.
all. Thank you. Thank you.
Too.
Lovely night. Bye.
Bye.
Night.
God bless
Interesting
you.
meeting.
Bye.
Very interesting.
My son, myself, we're saying thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
How much?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much. Sounds a lot today.